If you're in Canada and need to extend your study permit, there's a lot of stress and worries about the process, but in this video, you'll get a step-by-step tutorial, frequently asked questions, and things to know to make sure you do everything right. If you're new, my name is Max Maddock. I'm an educational influencer and CEO of Immigrate AI Global. I often collaborate with government leaders to simplify government policy that affects everyone. In my last meeting with Canada's finance minister, we spoke about the talent Canada needs in AI, engineering, and healthcare, and other sectors. If you're going through the study permit path, I've been there. I know it can be a lot. So first, let's take a deep breath and dissect things you should know. These are the main parts: timing, eligibility, and provincial attestation letter. First, timing and eligibility. When should I apply? Applications should be submitted at least 30 days before your current study permit expires, though 3 to 4 months in advance is recommended to account for processing times. What if my permit expires while processing the new one? If you apply before your study permit expires, you have maintained status, also called implied status. This allows you to continue studying under the same conditions until a decision is made. Critical warning: if you leave Canada while on maintained status, you lose your ability to study when you return. You cannot study again until the application is approved. Can I study while waiting for my extension? Yes. If you applied before expiry and have maintained status, you can remain in Canada. You must continue meeting all conditions on your original study permit. Provincial territorial attestation letters. Do I need a PAL or TAL to extend my study permit? No. If you're extending at the same DLI and same level of study as your current permit, you are exempt from PAL-TAL requirement. Yes, if you are changing schools or changing your level of study as of January 22nd, 2025, unless you meet one of the exceptions below. What are the exceptions to needing a provincial attestation letter? You don't need a provincial attestation letter if you meet one of these situations. You have a temporary resident permit valid for at least 6 months. You are a protected person. You're eligible for permanent residence based on humanitarian compassionate grounds or a current public policy. For example, what Ukrainian nationals had. As a spouse or common law partner, through the spouse or common law partner in Canada class, the PR application process. See the full list of exemptions linked below. Important: you must provide proof that you meet one of these exemptions if you don't provide a provincial attestation letter within your application. Academic requirements. What documents prove that I'm still a student? Your DLI will send you either a letter of acceptance LOA for new students at that institution or a letter of enrollment for current continuing students. You must upload this letter in the LOA specific space on your online application. Your DLI must verify your letter by the deadline, or IRCC will return your application and refund the processing fee. What if I'm changing schools or programs? Changing schools or level of study as of January 22nd, 2025, you will need a provincial attestation letter unless you meet an exemption. Staying in the same DLI and level. No PAL-TAL required. You must have a valid letter from your new DLI and update IRCC about any changes. Financial requirements. How much proof of funds do I need? Well, treat this as a new study permit application. As of September 1st, 2025, updated financial requirements apply to study permit extensions. You must demonstrate financial ability to cover tuition fees, living expenses, approximately $22,000 per year. See more in this table. And return transportation to your home country. IRCC will assess whether you have enough money to continue supporting yourself while studying in Canada, so treat it as a new application. Do I need a new medical exam? Generally not required for extensions unless you're from a designated country or if specifically requested by IRCC. Your original medical exam is typically valid throughout your studies. Application process requirements. Where to apply? You must apply online. Most foreign nationals already in Canada can no longer apply for a study permit extension at the port of entry, so no crossing the border back and forth. The online application requirement applies to both the initial study permit and extensions for people already in Canada. What do I need to apply? There are your classics and some other documents. passport, your letter of acceptance or letter of enrollment from your DLI, provincial attestation letter, proof of financial support, any documents proving that you meet a provincial attestation letter exemption, if applicable to you. And then there's the not so straightforward documents that include your statement of purpose, that show home ties, and other documents. There's tools like Student Visa Express that can help you prepare this, that I'll share later in the video. Travel considerations. Can I travel while my extension is pending? Strongly not recommended. If you leave Canada while on maintained status, waiting for your extension decision, you will lose your ability to study when you return. What do I need to re-enter Canada? A study permit is not a visa. If you plan to travel, check whether you need a valid visitor visa, temporary resident visa, or electronic travel authorization (ETA) to re-enter Canada, depending on your nationality. Now the common legal issues when it comes to study permit extensions. What happens if I worked without authorization? Unauthorized work is a serious violation that can lead to permit refusals and removal from Canada. Can my permit be refused even if I meet the requirements? Yes, officers have discretion to refuse if they believe you won't leave Canada when required, if you are violating your previous conditions, or if you fail to demonstrate non-immigrant intentions. Again, use tools like Student Visa Express to help you build those supporting documents. This brings us to the actual tutorial. In this step-by-step tutorial, we will simplify the process of extending your study permit. It's quite simple, but it may seem confusing or complicated at first, so just stay all the way until the end. First things first, you will need to go on the IRCC secure account. We'll drop a link in the description to the video so that you end up on the right platform. Then you will scroll down, hit apply to come to Canada. Scroll down, visitor visa, study, and or work permit. Now, the following sections will look slightly different for you because you will have different answers. For example, this first one, what would you like to do in Canada? Obviously, study, because we are extending your study permit. And how long you're planning to stay in Canada, for most of you would be more than 6 months as your study program. Now, this one will be different. So what's the code of your passport? For example, let's say you're applying and you're a Nigerian citizen. This one, what is your current country or territory of residence? For most of you, this would be Canada because you're extending your study permit from within Canada, hopefully before the old one expires. Now, do you have a family member who's a Canadian PR or citizen? I'm going to say no to make it simpler. Date of birth, again, this one will look different. So some are similar for everybody, some will be different. So you need to use common sense. Next, do you have a provincial attestation letter? I'm going to say yes, but the basic rule here, though I do recommend you go back and rewatch the video where we talk about it in detail, but basically, if you are staying within the same school on the same study level, you do not need a new provincial attestation letter as of now. So see when this video was published. Next, which province or territory is your provincial attestation letter from? To make it easier, let's say Alberta. Next, are you a PR or citizen of the United States? I'm gonna say no. Now, what's your current immigration status in Canada? Let's say you are a student currently. So hopefully, again, you're still within your student status in Canada. Are you a student residing in Canada who is changing your designated learning institution? So for this one, it may be different for you. You may be staying within the same school, so you'd say no, or you may be transferring, changing to another school, so say yes. But to make it simpler, we'll say no to this one. Now, what's your marital status? Again, different for everybody, but to make it simpler, single. If you say that you are married, obviously you can potentially bring your partner or your children as well if you have other family members. Now, what's your province or territory of destination? Again, it will be different for all, but let's say Alberta to make it easier. Now, here you'll see the results, which exactly is where you will select study permit in Canada. You may be eligible to extend your stay in Canada as a student. Hit continue, and then you'll keep answering these questionnaire questions. Now, are you accompanying a family member who has status in Canada? I'm gonna say no, but this is for folks with spouses. Do you also want to apply for a work permit? So you may be able to also apply for a co-op work permit depending if your program has that. I'll say no just to make it simpler, but you may select yes. Actually, let's say yes, and then I'll show you how it looks in the document upload. Now, when does your status in Canada expire? So again, this will be different, but hopefully you are applying before your status actually expires. So let's say that it expires in April in 2026. Next, have you had a medical exam performed by IRCC? I'm gonna say yes, because likely you had it done before. Do you want to submit an application for a family member? I'm gonna say no to make it easier, but if you say yes, you will be able to do so altogether. Now, are you giving someone else access to your application? So if you do need legal help, the links will be in the description for our immigration lawyers. They're amazing if you want to get this process done by someone for you. But for this one, I'll say no. Next, in the past 10 years, have you given your fingerprints? So likely you have, because you applied for your study permit the first time. Now, there are fees associated with this application. Yes, I'll be paying fees. Next, are you able to make a digital copy of your documents? I'm gonna say yes, you have to. The next one is, are you gonna be paying with a Visa or MasterCard? I'm gonna say yes. Hit next. Okay, this is where you want to be careful. Double check everything. Go through every single question. Make sure that you answered it truthfully and that it makes sense to your unique situation. Next, hit continue. Now, this is where things get interesting. This is where you'll start uploading your documents. Supporting documents and optional. These are not optional at all. You have to provide this client information. We'll get to it just in a few minutes, but first, I want to walk you through this form, IMM 5709. So this form is quite interesting because this is actually your, let's open it up. This is your application form for the extension. So here in the third section, you're gonna say that apply for a study permit for the first time or extend my study permit. This will be the likely box you may tick. Again, you may also have to restore your status if you lost it. So if your study permit expired or if you broke some conditions or rules on your old study permit. So you'll hit this one. But for most cases, it will be the first one. And then you'll go through it step by step. It's pretty straightforward. You will see personal details. So if you have been married or in a common law relationship, languages, passport, national identity document. This is pretty straightforward. Then your background. So for coming to Canada, date and place of your original entry to Canada will be the airport where you first landed in Canada at the very first time. And the original purpose, again, so the very first one. Date of place of your most recent entry to Canada. This is if you've perhaps traveled or if you've gone home and come back. Now, details of intended study in Canada. This is pretty straightforward. So this is the new study program. Education, this is your background. Employment, also your background if you've had some employment. If not, you will say unemployed. So it's the details of the last 10 years. So if there were times when you didn't have a job or you were in school, you would need to say that, provided do not leave gaps for them to fill. And make sure this aligns with your previous IMM forms that you submitted in the past when you applied for the first study permit. Again, if you have any legal questions, you can consult with our immigration lawyers. The links will be in the description below. Okay, back to your documents. So these are pretty self-explanatory. The co-op letter would be provided to you by your school. This could also be mentioned in your letter of acceptance. Speaking of which, this is your letter of acceptance. This is where you would upload it. Next, your passport. Make sure that it doesn't expire soon, that you have at least until the end of your study program. If you could extend it, if you can, considering for your PGWP, making sure that you have enough days, enough years left on it. Next, the provincial attestation letter, PAL. This would be given to you by your school when they request it from the province. Then proof of means of financial support. This is the interesting one. We'll leave it until the end because there's something very useful that can help you with this. Now, proof of upfront medical exam. So this is if you had to do a medical exam. If you are exempt, you would upload a letter stating that I am exempt from it because I took it within the last 12 months and here's proof, here's my form. A digital photo, self-explanatory, this is a square photo. Now, this one is optional, but client information is where you want to attach your letter of explanation, and this is what makes or breaks your application. As you know, now there's a tool to help you with this. It's called Student Visa Express. Student Visa Express is this incredible software that guides you and helps you avoid red flags. So your application, when you go through it, may have some potential red flags to a visa officer, especially if you apply from countries like Nigeria, where the refusal rate, as you can tell, is over 78%. Now it's even higher. So when you create your profile here on Student Visa Express, it'll look like this. You'll answer all these sections, and each section has multiple questions. You save them. When you've created your immigration profile, our software, our AI, will compare this to the Immigration Act, identify potential risks or red flags in your application, and then help you put together supporting documents to reduce those risks. So things like your statement of purpose or letter of explanation will be generated based on your inputs, based on your details. And you'll be able to edit it yourself, add changes, include that you are applying for an extension, stuff like that, save it. And then it goes to your document manager with other supporting documents that the system would have identified that you need. And this is where it's interesting. So for client information here, you will need to not only attach your statement of purpose or letter of explanation, but all of the supporting documents backing your application that show the visa officer home ties. Treat this application as a new study permit application. So when you go on our platform and you've uploaded all of your supporting documents, you hit download all documents, and that's where the system will generate two packages, two bundles. One for all supporting documents that will go into your client information here, and one for proof of funds, which will go, guess where, up here into your proof of means of financial support. So this is your bank statements, your sponsors' bank statements, affidavits, and so on. So again, the beauty of this is that the system will identify these for you and help you put them together. And then we have an application guide as well for you to be guided through the whole process step by step. Again, so identify your risks and put together stronger supporting documents just to reduce that risk that you don't need to take. And again, if you are interested, the link will be in the description below this video. So this is basically the process. And then once everything is uploaded, the button here will unlock to submit your application and pay for the application. Again, I hope this was helpful. If so, drop a comment below and let us know. If you're looking to improve your chances through better supporting documents, I highly recommend Student Visa Express. That was used by hundreds of people like you. If you need legal help, I'll leave a link to book a consultation with our lawyers in the description below this video. And finally, if you got some value from this video, this tutorial, please drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below, as well as if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.